So all along, when we thought maybe Blake wanted the rights, I mean, she might end up being the director, right? But in all utter reality, maybe Colleen Hoover did not want to give up her.
It's on a beautiful, really important book, and it's about a young woman named Lily who confronts the generational cycles in her life and breaks them and ends the circle.
Mm-hmm.
Honored, and I'm also more honored that because what we're talking about is so important and so meaningful that we're able to have this much anticipation and so many people want to go see it.
Colleen Hoover's recent controversies have created a storm around an author once adored by millions, but now engulfed in accusations, betrayal, and intense public backlash. For months, rumors circulated that Hoover had schemed to push Justin Baldoni out of the It Ends With Us film adaptation, reclaim the rights, and align herself with Blake Lively, despite Blake reportedly not even reading the book before being cast. In the beginning, Hoover and Baldoni had a strong creative partnership. He had admired her story long before its TikTok fame, and even suggested himself for the male lead, while she supported his involvement and recommended Blake for the female role. But the dynamic shifted sharply when Hoover allegedly turned against Baldoni and sided with Blake in what fans now call a stunning betrayal. Reports claim Hoover acted ruthlessly, dismissing Baldoni's reputation and supporting Blake's claims without proof, effectively pushing him out of the project. Matters escalated when Hoover abruptly deleted her social media accounts amid growing criticism, not only for the film drama, but also for disturbing allegations involving her son. A 16-year-old girl accused Hoover's son of assault after they met online, and instead of addressing the situation responsibly, Hoover allegedly blocked the teen and later defended her son by insisting the story was distorted. Fans were outraged, calling out the hypocrisy of an author whose career centers on themes of abuse and trauma, yet who appeared unwilling to support a real-life victim when the issue hit close to home. Hoover also faced backlash for tone-deaf decisions, such as releasing a coloring book based on It Ends With Us, a story rooted in domestic violence. Critics deemed it insensitive and exploitative, leading to its quick removal. Many believe Hoover regretted selling the film rights too early and grew resentful when Baldoni profited more than she did, fueling her alleged desire to undermine him. Blake Lively's involvement only intensified tensions, with leaks suggesting she demanded aesthetic changes on set, prioritized control over creative direction, and contributed to production chaos. Instead of mediating, Hoover publicly showered Blake with praise, calling her kind and patient, while distancing herself from Baldoni, whose reputation took heavy damage under accusations that later appeared exaggerated or fabricated. This mixture of behind-the-scenes conflict, shifting alliances, and questionable decisions turned what should have been a celebrated adaptation into a chaotic saga of greed, manipulation, and hypocrisy. Online critics have not held back, accusing Hoover of abandoning the values she built her career on and disappearing when accountability was demanded. Many argue she manipulated alliances, allowed Blake to dominate the project, undermined Baldoni's work, and avoided responsibility when scandal erupted. Now, fans question whether Hoover's retirement is genuine or simply a way to escape humiliation. What began as a simple book-to-film journey has spiraled into a messy tale of Hollywood politics, damaged trust, and the collapse of an author's once untarnished image. At its core, the saga involving Colleen Hoover, Justin Baldoni, and Blake Lively reveals how ambition, resentment, and mishandled controversies can destroy reputations, tear apart collaborations, and permanently stain a story that once meant so much to millions.
Each other. He was, after I gave birth, he was like, oh my gosh, if I lost you and I, went to the park with our 3 kids, I mean, think of the ladies I can like, this is a horrible thing to say.
What chance that you can have a what?
A sequence, like it starts with this.
Oh. I mean, if Colleen has her rights, I'll go anywhere. I'll follow this woman.
Colleen Hoover's once polished public image has unraveled into a whirlwind of suspicion, betrayal, and controversy. And the deeper people dig, the more her behavior appears deliberate, not accidental. Fans were stunned when Hoover publicly described Blake Lively as kind and nice, especially considering the shaky narrative Blake has been pushing about Justin Baldoni. If Justin were truly guilty of the severe allegations implied, more crew members or cast insiders would have spoken up. Instead, there is nothing but silence. At the same time, Blake herself has faced accusations for years, yet she has somehow recast herself as the moral authority leading a crusade against Justin. And Colleen has backed her at every turn. Many observers believe Hoover's loyalty to Blake has less to do with honesty and more to do with staying aligned with Hollywood power players. Speculation continues to grow that Hoover became frustrated with Baldoni because he wasn't generating the kind of profit she believed she could secure with a bigger, more influential star like Blake in control. Whatever the true motivation, it's becoming increasingly clear that Colleen made a massive miscalculation, one she may never be able to reverse. She underestimated how unforgiving the public has become and misread how impossible it is to hide manipulation in an era of screenshots, leaks, and digital receipts. People no longer look the other way, and Hoover has learned that lesson the hard way, just like many celebrities who believed they were too powerful to face consequences. Even footage from a CNN interview with Blake Lively raised eyebrows when she casually suggested she would do a sequel if Colleen regained the rights. The comment only fueled suspicions of a deeper, premeditated scheme between the two, adding yet another layer to a scandal that refuses to fade. Which was odd considering those rights clearly belonged to Justin and Wayfarer Studios. The moment didn't feel like an innocent slip. It felt like a quiet signal, a hint toward plans already unfolding behind the scenes. Colleen sat beside Blake during that interview with an unsettling calmness, as if completely comfortable with the idea that Justin's hold on the rights was temporary. The interaction was far too convenient, especially when viewed alongside Colleen's next move, launching her own production company Heartbones Entertainment shortly afterward. Then came the confirmation from Variety in October. Another Hoover adaptation was officially moving forward under her new banner. If Colleen had no expectation of regaining control of her books, why suddenly invest in a company built to handle film adaptations? The timing was suspicious enough, but pairing it with her abrupt switch to a powerhouse law firm, one representing A-list stars like Johnny Depp and Brad Pitt, made it clear she was gearing up for a high-level legal battle. Fans quickly began connecting the dots. Colleen wasn't stepping back. She was strategizing, plotting, positioning herself. And while she maneuvered quietly behind Justin's back, Blake was flashing her Hollywood influence in plain sight. With Blake and Ryan's financial muscle behind her, it isn't hard to imagine the pair fueling Colleen's push to reclaim control, quietly orchestrating a situation in which Justin would be forced out. By August, whispers were already circulating that Colleen and Blake were working together behind the scenes, and by fall, the groundwork for a full takeover was visible to anyone paying close attention. But the darkest twist lies in the morality clause buried within Justin's original contract. These clauses are common in Hollywood, designed to automatically void agreements if one party is accused of immoral or criminal conduct, just like other public figures who have lost endorsements or honors after scandals emerged. In Justin's case, the clause explicitly stated that if he were accused of sexual assault, the rights to It Ends With Us would immediately revert back to Hoover. Suddenly, Blake's harassment allegations didn't seem random anymore. They didn't look coincidental. They looked calculated. It suddenly looked like a deliberate trigger, an accusation engineered to activate the very clause that would legally remove Justin and hand the rights straight back to Colleen. The strategy was dark but undeniably calculated. Hit Justin with an allegation severe enough to immediately satisfy the contract's conditions, force his removal, and free the rights so Hoover could redirect the project wherever she pleased. And who better to spark that domino effect than Blake, already positioned as Colleen's Hollywood ally and the one who would benefit most from Justin's sudden downfall. Once the accusation surfaced, everything unraveled at lightning speed. Justin's agency dropped him almost immediately. Industry support evaporated overnight. The narrative was swiftly reshaped to present Colleen and Blake as the rightful protectors of the project, while Justin was pushed to the margins. But for those paying close attention, the orchestration was impossible to miss. Colleen had been constructing the blueprint for this exact scenario, switching to a powerhouse legal team, launching her own production company, and aligning herself with influential players who could protect her while weakening Justin's position. The more receipts surfaced, the clearer it became that this wasn't a natural fallout. It was a coordinated takedown. Fans are outraged not only because of the alleged betrayal of Baldoni, but because Colleen's behavior completely contradicts the values her brand was built on. She crafted her empire writing about trauma, accountability, and moral truth. Yet when given the opportunity to act ethically in real life, she chose Hollywood politics, opportunism, and self-preservation. By backing Blake's unverified accusations, quietly preparing a production infrastructure, and capitalizing on the chaos surrounding Justin's collapse, Hoover has positioned herself not as a victim, but as a shrewd operator hiding behind a facade of innocence. The internet hasn't been forgiving. calling out her evasive tactics, her abrupt disappearance from social media, and the cold precision behind each of her moves. At this point, the scandal is no longer about whether a single film adaptation succeeds or fails. It's about whether Colleen Hoover has permanently damaged her reputation as both an author and a public figure. Fans feel deceived. Justin's career has been dragged through the mud, and Blake's credibility has been thrown into doubt. But the one undeniable constant is that Colleen sat at the center of it all, pulling the strings with unsettling composure. What began as a partnership grounded in mutual respect has devolved into a case study in Hollywood scheming, where morality clauses, strategic alliances, and perfectly timed PR maneuvers became weapons in a calculated power struggle. Hoover may have believed she was simply reclaiming control over her own work, but in doing so, she exposed a willingness to manipulate narratives, exploit loopholes, and betray collaborators, all while trying to preserve a polished public image. Whether she can recover from this fallout remains uncertain, but one truth has become impossible to ignore. She is no longer viewed as the empathetic storyteller who champions survivors. Instead, she now appears as a figure whose behind-the-scenes maneuvering reveals the darker realities of power, ambition, and profit in Hollywood.